Hello and good evening. My name is David Sinclair. I am an ELA high school teacher, but also a student of library and informational sciences. I had an assignment recently to collaborate with a classroom teacher, except I would be acting in the role of a teacher librarian or information specialist. And today I'm going to present a little bit about how that collaboration went, what it means to transform instruction, and just kind of what this might mean for how teachers and librarians could work together in a school setting. So first, of course, I need to just kind of initiate and kickstart this collaborative exercise. So I asked a friend and colleague, Benjamin Zirkle, who teaches AP English 4, asked him, what are you working on right now? As a teacher myself with English language arts, figured this would be a content I'd be most comfortable with for this preliminary collaboration. So it turns out he was about to start Oscar Wilde's classic play, The Importance of Being Earnest, with his seniors. So I decided, let me just hop on that. I don't want to change really what he's doing as far as his primary content. One of the goals of collaboration, I think, to make it attractive and efficacious is just to not disrupt what the teacher's already doing. You're not trying to just hop in there and say, this new thing that I would like to do. You want to ask the teacher, what do you want to do? And then think, how can I use my own resources of information science and especially technology to transform that instruction. So a lesson overview would really have two primary facets, the class content and the technological content. So the ELA content was really up to Mr. Zirkle, and we discussed this, but since it's his class, it was really, what sort of academic skills do you want to go over? And we talked about the different genre aspects, satire and farce, both well exemplified by that play, social themes, and language analysis, because of a lot of the types of aphorisms and paradoxes Oscar Wilde was very inclined to use in this play and in his other works. But that's just for the actual ELA content. The tech content, I decided to use what's called LiveBinder, a technological application I had used myself for my own master's assignments, but had never applied to a student-centered assignment. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to try to use this tool for a different population. So LiveBinder is essentially a digital binder. It allows you to organize and schematize and create just a really good presentation of different types of media, websites, uploaded files, streaming audio and video, lots of different tools that you can be using with this application. We also had a kind of a timeline. I'm trying to break this into a full week where we introduced the lesson or the assignment itself early on, and I wrote that as the teacher librarian role, but the teacher, Mr. Zirkle, actually delivered it. Then he went through the actual content in the middle of the week, and then I ended the week on Friday by giving a tutorial for students over how to use LiveBinder to publish their assignment. Well, as many teachers will probably remember with a grimace from past kind of collaborative attempts, it doesn't always go exactly as you would plan. So there are certain things that are very important to keep in mind in order to have a successful collaboration that will prompt future collaborations with the same teacher or others. First of all, finding time to plan is very important. Classroom teachers, as I'm well aware, are quite busy and don't have all the time in the world to throw around for planning and things. So trying to work on each other's schedules is very important, just kind of acknowledging that we all have pretty busy lives in education. But of course you do need time to plan. You can't just throw things together without any structure. That's setting yourself up for failure. So I already mentioned this earlier, but also it's important to build on existing content and not just kind of interject new stuff into a person's established curriculum. Most teachers would not appreciate a librarian or anybody telling them, here's what you should be teaching. So you're trying to enhance and transform what they already have, not saying, here's what I think you should do. It's also important to determine roles and make sure you both have different things to do and can contribute equally but helpfully. Since you have more than one person, you don't need to be doing the same thing. If it's one person's job, or at least if it's decided to make one person's job, like writing the assignment, then that person can handle that. Another person could actually deliver an assignment, or go through the content, or go through the tech tutorial, or find various resources, or whatever the case may be. But it's important to find useful things for one another to do that play on each other's natural strengths and talents. On the collaboration itself, as well, since it has already taken place, I can say that it was a success. It seems that it went well for a couple of different reasons, and part of it is I did choose someone to work with that I already know and have a good working rapport with, but it is very important to have regular and respectful communication. Teachers don't like being bossed around, and if you collaborate, it needs to be something where you have a congenial and kind of balanced back and forth with that whole process. It's important to focus on student work and the actual skills they're learning, not just, what's my goal? It's what are students getting out of this? What will they learn at the end of the day? What can they take with them? All right, well, as with any type of instruction, even a more unconventional collaborative exercise, the TEKs are the starting foundation. So it's very important to start with those. Some TEKs are more designed for content, while others are more designed for technology itself. So finding a good mix of different educational goals is key. You can't have too narrow of a focus trying to draw in as many different skill sets together and create a sort of assignment and a sort of student work that will test them in various ways and require them to exercise different skill sets. Well, I put in the title of this presentation, using technology to transform instruction. So I want to say just for a second what I mean by that. This is called the SAMR model. SAMR stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. Basically a schematic model for how to conceptualize the use of technology in an educational setting. So essentially the bottom two layers of this tool kind of describe what a lot of educators do with technology. Is just using it instead of a more traditional tool, but there's not a lot of actual new functionality. The student task, the student product is not substantially changed. The skills are not substantially different. It's more just bells and whistles. So what we're really aiming for, the top two levels of this, are what's called transformation, where the task itself, the thing the student is doing, the manner in which they're doing it, the thing they create by their work is meaningful and different. So in this particular collaboration, it did in fact work that way. We were able to help students learn how to use an online application to digitally consolidate their work and put things together from multiple types of media. Parts of the assignment were just straight student writing, either as a response to a video or a response to an article, or they had to pair images with quotations, or they had to pair different types of text and media together, and the way that you would put those together and integrate those is just a lot smoother and a lot more polished, a lot more presentable with a tool like LiveBinder than if you just had students turn in a bunch of different parts together in different formats. This is just a lot simpler and a lot more just kind of holistic. And it was a product. It had everything together in one publishable thing that was then easy to publish and easy to grade from a teacher standpoint, since it's all digital and doesn't require the wastefulness and kind of redundancy of that physical submissions can have. And collaboration, of course, should be a positive experience. It's not always that way, but it should be focused on a positive learning goal for students and a positive learning kind of experience for teachers, learning to work with a librarian or work with one another, share one another's talents, and just work together for a better student outcome. So the ultimate goal is to benefit student learning, and in this assignment it did work that way. Students were able to select their own online materials on which to base their assignment, which gives them more that freedom of choice and greater ownership of their work. I already mentioned how they were able to learn how to consolidate and organize their work online in a digital format that's polished and integrated. They're also just be able to analyze connections between different literary ideas from the story and media that they found on the internet that they could pair and kind of build on their work in that way. Professionally, I also got a fair amount out of this experience. Mr. Zirkle and I were able to build on his existing curriculum, so without disrupting his established lesson plans, but find a meaningful way to transform that work in some manner. The teacher himself told me he was glad he learned how to use LiveBinder because he might be able to use it in his future assignments or lessons of some sort, things that I might have no part or no even knowledge of. So classroom teachers could always benefit from learning new digital tools that they can use in the future. It doesn't have to just stay with that isolated collaborative experience. From the teacher-librarian standpoint, so from my standpoint in this case, I also learned a valuable amount of content knowledge about this particular class, and it should be, one of the teacher librarian's roles to just kind of have a general overarching view of content of various grade levels, various departments, to have that kind of Renaissance man outlooks to help us, to be able to help a greater diversity of educators with whatever their educational goals are in the classroom at that time. Alright, so that was a brief presentation of teacher and library collaboration for my Technology and Media Selection Application class, Dr. Sheila Baker, at the University of Houston Clear Lake. Alright,